Hi, grade 9 students! It's nice to see you again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's me, Sir Stephen. You can call me Sir Steve or Sir Stiff, and I will be your virtual English teacher. So how are you? Doing good? I hope so. Now for today, we will continue our lesson in English 9. So we are through with the week 1, so we will now start week 2. Are you ready now?
Aye, Captain!
I can't hear you.
Aye, Captain!
Well then, let's begin.
Let's get ready to rumble!
So let us begin our lesson for week 2. The title of our lesson is Modals of Permission, Obligation, and Prohibition. And this is for English 9. So when you hear the word modal, what comes in your mind?
A few moments later.
Does it remind you of your recognition days when you received an award? That's a different model. Okay, that's actually a medal. Just kidding. For today, I will be elaborating what modal is, and specifically what modals of permission, obligation, and prohibition are. Let us now begin. Let us begin with a pretest. This will measure your understanding, your prior knowledge when it comes to this topic. Allow me to read the first. By the way, the instructions. Read each item carefully and encircle the letter of the most appropriate answer. For number 1, the king must know more about his enemies to save his kingdom and his people. What does the underlined modal express? So the underlined modal is actually the word must. So the modal is must. Is it A, permission? Is it B, obligation? Is it C, prohibition? Or is it D, suggestion? Alright, the answer is letter B, obligation. So there is an obligation. There is a required thing to do. What is that? That is, the king must know more about his enemies. Do you understand it? Okay, for the succeeding items, you be the one to answer them on your clean sheets of paper. What do I need to know? Have you ever given an advice to somebody? Have you given some pieces of advice to your friends who are experiencing family problems, love problems, academic problems, and other problems? I'm pretty sure you have done it. When you are giving these pieces of advice, you are actually telling somebody the things that he can do and cannot do about the problem. Same thing goes when someone needs to see a doctor, isn't it? When we ask, when we are sick and when we go to the doctor, our doctor gives us advice what to do so that we'll heal, we'll have a speedy recovery. These pieces of advice actually are the things you can do and cannot do to improve your health status. That's an example. Okay. Now there is an image here. Look at the image below. This is John. He went to the doctor because he was injured after he fell from his bicycle. This actually happens nowadays since riding bicycle is very popular, especially going to TRP and going to Silex. Maybe some of you have their bicycles, so this might happen. Now, you are to complete the sentences below to help John improve his condition. So you're gonna give pieces of advice to John. What should John do? Number 1, John must, what's your advice? John should. John cannot. Okay. John has to. And finally, John must not. Awesome! So you have given pretty sound pieces of advice. These pieces of advice that you have given can surely help John have John have a speedy recovery. Okay. In the sentences you completed a while back, the words in bold letters help the sentence or the sentences express different meanings. In English, these bold words are what we call modals. Yes, precisely our topic. These modals help us to express what we intend to say and avoid misinterpretation. There are different modals in English language, but in this lesson, we will just focus on 3 types of modals. They are the modals of permission, modals of obligation, and model of prohibition. Obligation, permission, and prohibition. Alright, now, let's define what modal is. Modal or modals are actually what we call auxiliary verbs. They are helping verbs that are used to express different functions. They are also used to indicate additional and specific meaning to the main verb of the sentence. Okay, so they are verbs. Modals are auxiliary verbs, meaning to say they are verbs but they must be followed by a main verb since they are just auxiliary verbs. And they are used to express different functions. And for today, just like what I repeated a while back, what are the 3 functions we will be focusing? Very good. Permission, obligation, and prohibition. Now, these are the words you have seen a while back. These are examples of modals, and each of them has its own function. Let's begin. Must expresses obligation. So when we use must, it tells something to be done, something that is needed to be done. There is an urgency that it must be done since it's an obligation. You have no other choice but to do it. It's an obligation. The word can expresses permission. So when we ask permission, when we ask something to do, to be allowed to do this or to do that, we use the modal can. And finally, we have may not. So may not or may express prohibition. So prohibit, you are stopping it to be done. May not. Okay, it may not be done. So you are prohibiting. And then, to use modal verbs in sentences, we must follow the formula. There must be the modal and then the base form of the verb. I repeat, it must be the base form of the verb. And when we say base form of the verb, it's the 0 form. It's the word without S, without D, ED, or without that is not in its past form or past participle or whatsoever. It's in its normal form. That is what we call base form. Examples. Must plus eat. You must eat vegetables to be healthy. Okay, we have must plus the base form of the verb it. Can go. You can go now because we are done with our tasks. So, can plus the verb go. May not leave. You may not leave yet because we are still finishing our activities. So, may not plus the base form of the verb leave. Alright, let's analyze these sentences. Example number 1. Elisha must study tonight for his exams tomorrow. So Elisha is male. What should Elisha do? He must study. Okay? So we have the modal must plus the base form of the verb study. Must study tonight, meaning to say there's an urgency, there is an obligation. So this is a modal expressing obligation. Number 2, you may go to the concert if you finish all your works on time. So, when can you go to the concert? That is only if you're done with your school works. So you will only be permitted once you are done with your school works. May, okay, permission. May not, prohibition. May, permission plus go. So incorrect format: must stop, must stops, must stopping, must stopped. Cannot be. These are all incorrect. Okay, what is the correct? 1 must stop when the traffic lights turn red. So must in it's a model of obligation plus stop, which is in its base form. Also remember that modals do not also take these emphatic verbs. Do, does, did, don't, does not or doesn't, and didn't or did not, especially in interrogative sentences. So we cannot use them. Examples. These are all incorrect sentences, so this must not be done. Does one must stop when the traffic lights turn red? So cannot be. We don't take the verb does. Do people must stop? Cannot be also. Did one must stop? Wrong. Doesn't one must stop? Wrong. Don't people must stop? Wrong. And definitely didn't one must stop. These are all wrong. We don't take the verbs do, does, and so on. How should we construct it then? So it must be like this. Must one stop when the traffic lights turn red? So that's an interrogative sentence. We began with the modal must. Okay. However, do, does, or did plus the word not, when not is added, when it expresses negativity, together with a modal, can be used to express negative obligation. So if it expresses negative obligation, that's the only time we can use do, does, and so on. But make sure it's accompanied by the adverb not. Example. Chris does not have to go to the doctor today. So Chris is not obliged. Chris is not obliged to go to the doctor. So there's no obligation. You get it? Now that you have understood the general characteristics, let's try to move forward to the deeper and more specific discussion of these modals. Okay, let's begin with modals of permission. Permission refers to act of permitting or authorization, meaning to say, someone who is in authority has already allowed you to do something. To give or to ask permission, we can use the modals can, could, and may. Okay? We can use this in our sentences. Example, can plus base form, could plus base form, may plus base form. Examples, you can eat the cake in the refrigerator if you are still hungry. So you are permitted to eat it once you are hungry. Mom, can I invite my friends over the weekend? So the person is asking permission from the mom to invite her or his friends over the weekend. May I go to the office and see if John is still there? Okay. Also asking for permission. Remember, could is used for the past tense of can and is used to express permission in the past. Example, last year I asked my mom if we could visit my grandparents in the province. So we did not use can because the action already happened or took place last year. Okay? The modals can, could, and may also express permission. Though the modal may is more formal and the modals can and could are less formal and are often used with informal conversations. So normally, in a formal conversation, we use may. Just like when we ask permission from our teacher. Teacher, may I go out? So that's more formal. But in a regular conversation, it is also acceptable if you would say, can I go out? Okay. Next, models of obligation. So when we say obligation, you are required to do it. You are compelled to do it. You are, how should I say this one? You have no choice but to do it. Obligation refers to something a person has to do. Okay? It must be done. To express obligation, the modals, what are the modals used? Must, should, has to, have to, and had to. Has to is for singular subject, have to is for plural subject, and had to for past action. Okay? I must hand in my written report to my teacher by tomorrow. We should be at the airport at least 1 hour before the flight. Sheila needs to take her medicine regularly for her to recover fast. The doctor said that Joshua has to stop smoking or he will risk serious health problems. So we use has because Joshua is just singular. Note, must is used to express strong obligation. You must do it. There's a strong need to do it. While should is used to express mild obligation. I should do it. Both are obligations, but the degree of obligation differs depending upon the model used. Okay? Examples. I must save money for my retirement and financial security. I should save money so I can travel this summer. So there's a stronger obligation for financial and retirement security. I must save money. Understood? Okay. It says here, notice that in the first sentence, the modal is used to express strong obligation of the speaker to save money, just like what I said. That means there's a strong need for the speaker to do this obligation or he will face negative consequences. Okay? Strong versus mild. Same goes with he must pass the examination to qualify the graduation. He should pass the audition in order to join the club. So there's a stronger obligation to pass the exam because this will qualify you for a graduation than passing an audition to join a club. So it's more important to pass the examination. Both are obligation, but the only difference is the degree of obligation. Note, has to, have to, and had to also express strong obligation. So aside from must, we also have these phrases, possibly from the outside. This is commonly used when the obligation concerns someone else other than speaker. So if you are involved in the sentence, I must. Okay? I must. We must. But sometimes, if other people are involved, she has to. They have to. So outside speaker, other than the speaker. Has to and have to are in the present tense, just like what I said, singular and plural. And then had to is for past tense. It's used to express obligation in the past. Still understanding? I hope so. Just have to repeat it once you get confused. Examples. Jane has to prepare all the reports herself because her secretary got sick. So there's a strong obligation. Singular, has to. It is in its present tense. John and Maria, so plural, have to clean blah blah blah. And finally, so we are done with the permission, with the obligation. So we are done with the last one. Yay! So models of prohibition. Prohibition, stop, must not be done. Refers to an order to restrain or stop. So prohibit. So what are the modals used to prohibit? We use should not and must not. So we just added the negative adverb not to express something to be restrained or to be stopped. Examples. You should not spend so much money to use less things. So spending money to use less things is being stopped. And other examples. Final reminder, modals can make a big difference to the sentence or to the meaning of the sentence. So it's like, I must do it. May I do it? He has to do it. He should not do it. So the meanings of the sentences vary depending upon the modals I actually used. Now, let us proceed to the activities. Okay, so the answers should be written in a separated sheet of paper or sheets of paper. Task number 1, activity 1, it's called role model. Wow, role model. The sentences below need modals to completely express their purpose. Supply the most appropriate modals from the box to convey the intended message. Write your answers on the space provided in each item. So these are the choices. Which do you think is the most appropriate? Number 1, you blank drive unless you have a driver's license. Actually, we can use different models here depending upon the meaning you want to convey. So this may vary. Drive unless you have. For permission, you may say you can or you may drive unless you have a driver's license. You may or you can drive depending upon the meaning. Okay, it depends upon the meaning. So you answer the other items. Let me check the answer if it's correct. Okay, I might teach you the wrong answer. So for a while, let's double check the answer key. By the way, maybe you are wondering why there is an answer key. An answer key is included in your module so that once you are done, you can review the lessons on your own. It's not for you to have to cheat, to have a reason to cheat. No, that shouldn't be the case. Okay, you must be very honest. So number 1, okay, you can't. Okay. So what I have learned, you can't drive. Yeah, you cannot drive because of the word unless. You cannot drive unless you have a driver's license. Okay. Number 2, top modal. Read the following questions carefully and circle the letter of the most appropriate answer. Which of the following sentences expresses obligation? Obligation. What are the modals of obligation again? Must, has to, have to, had to. Grace can manage her time, cannot be. Kate should. I think should is also included. One must not. Carl could do. Okay. So expresses obligation. Kate should finish all the reports a day before the presentation. So I think it's letter B. I think. But if it's negative obligation, one must not disobey. But it was not said here that it's a negative, so the answer, I suppose, is letter B. Okay? Just check your answer key later on. Just correct me if I'm wrong. Number 3, approval seeker. Take a look at the permission passes below. So these are the permission passes. Listed are things you want to do. On the blanks provided, here the blanks, write sentences asking permission so you can do those things. Use modals of permission. Okay, what are the modals of permission again? It's may and may I, can I. Okay, so you will write your own sentences here. You want to go to the birthday party of your friend on Saturday night. Can I join the party on Saturday night? So you can write it here. Number 4, duty maker. Maria has many things to do today. Help her make a to-do list. Okay, you're gonna make a to-do list based on the situations given below. Use models of obligation in constructing sentences. So must, should, has to, have to, and so on. So use the spaces provided. Maria's bedroom is messy. What must Maria do? So Maria must clean her bedroom. And then continue answering. So you will be helping her to make a to-do list. Number 5, not here, not there. Have you been to places where there are certain restrictions? Recall your experience and how were you oriented about them? So where are these places you've been to with restrictions? The sentences below express prohibitions. Encircle the models of prohibition. In the space provided, write the letter of each location with its corresponding prohibition. Okay, so we have here the locations. So you will write the locations, letter of the answers here, after you are done encircling the models of prohibition. So you must not pick the flowers. Must not pick. Must plus not plus base form of the verb. Must not pick. So is it encircle? Encircle. And then look for the location. Where should we not pick flowers? Examination, school, restaurant, classroom, garden, zoo, church, department store, library. There are 2 possible answers here, park and garden. So it depends upon your answers in the other items. It's up to you, okay? Number 6, comic expressions. So complete the comic strips below by supplying statements to the empty bubble thoughts. So here are the empty bubble thoughts and other thoughts here below. So write your answer following what kind of model must be done. Okay, just read it and then write your answer here. Number 7, statement dissection. So you're gonna dissect here, meaning to say analyze word for word or phrase for phrase. This activity will test your understanding about models. To do that, analyze the statements below. Identify the idea that the speaker intends to express. The first one is done for you. Okay, this is the first one. Sheila, you must abide to the rules implemented during the enhanced community quarantine period. The speaker intends to, what is the intention? Express strong obligation because of must, okay? Unlike using should, wherein Sheila is obliged to abide the rules. What's the evidence? Must. So you will be doing the same explanation in the other activities. Number 8. Task 8, sending models. Imagine you are a health secretary. Write an open letter, wow, about what people should do, can do, and what they are not allowed to do. Use models of obligation, permission, and prohibition. So this is more of an application already. So suppose you will write here for Dear Dr. Duque. Okay, isn't it Duque is our DOH secretary, then comma. And then your message here. Next. Aha! Is that all? Oh, that's all. There you have it. Our activities for this lesson. I hope somehow I was able to help you understand our lesson. So just have to remember, modals are used to express meanings in our sentences. With the use of our modals, we can vary the meanings we want to convey. For today, we talked about 3 functions of modals: obligation, prohibition, and permission. Hope to see you again next week for our week 3 lesson. Do not forget to follow me on my Instagram, Twitter accounts at StiffSpear. You can see it in the screen. Also, add me in my Facebook account, Steve SP. And do not forget to subscribe in my channel, Stiff Spheres Vlog. Okay? Bye-bye! See you again next time!